So after you hear that song, tell me what kind of emotion you feel like you're having right now. You don't have to say it out loud, but I want you to think about it. Because like your emotions are so critical to like the quality of life that you have. I mean, have you ever like been someplace and somebody walks in the room and man, I was like, man, they just say, man, they're the life of the party. You've heard that? You've said that about people before? People may have said that about you? Man, what about the opposite of that is, you know, people when the wrong kind of mood, the wrong kind of person walks into a room, it's like they just make the whole place sour. You know what I'm talking about? Like, you know, we say, man, I can pick up on that person's vibes. You know, what we don't realize is that is a very true statement. We put off vibrations, man, everywhere we go. And when you find yourself, you know, with the right attitude, with a smile on your face, man, it doesn't matter how you look, it doesn't matter where you're from, man, you can go into any room and you can just turn the whole room into a much better place. But the exact opposite of that is true if you have the wrong kind of emotions or the wrong kind of vibration that you're putting off. And I think that we don't give enough attention to like our ability to create the environment that we live in. You know, we spend a lot of time talking to you guys about just about how like the community is so important. You know, and so whether it's the community of New Day, man, whether it's the community of my home. See, I can go home at the end of the day having a bad day and having had to deal with a lot of stuff and go home to my wife or my kids who did absolutely nothing to contribute to me having a bad day and just ruin my evening. Man, do you think that's fair to my family? Do you know who's in control of that? It's me. Man, I single-handedly have the ability to not let the things that happen to me throughout the course of the day, good, bad, or indifferent, cause me to go home and have a really bad evening. And I think that we don't realize that we are so in control of our own destiny just by the things that we think or by the things that we feel. Man, I know I like to be around people that are positive. Man, I'm not going to hang around somebody that's going to sit around and talk about somebody all day long. See, when I was in prison, man, there was this guy we used to run, and he would always want to run with me and this other guy, and the whole time, man, he would just talk about people. And I finally told him one day, I said, listen, let me tell you something. I said, if you're going to talk about anybody else, don't do it to me. For a bunch of reasons. One, I don't want to hear that. Two, his opinion becomes my opinion, even if it wasn't my opinion before I heard him say that. So I'm letting somebody influence the way I think and feel about other people just by listening to something that somebody has to say. And we can get so caught up in that. Man, it's just like this. You know, we talk about not sitting around and talk war story. Man, do you realize that like when you go to that place in your mind, when you begin to talk about life the way it was at a certain point in time, and we think it's so good, and we really know it's not, but we begin to glamorize that, and we begin to have all these thoughts, and then we have all these feelings, and then we have these emotions, and the next thing you know, I got somebody calling me on the radio saying, bed 32 is leaving AMA. I'm like, really? Well, what happened? Man, it's real simple. Almost 100% of the time, it's because, not almost, 100% of the time, whoever that person is had a thought that they allowed to get into their mind, that became a feeling, that became an emotion, that eventually led them to take an action that's going to cause them to go right out of a place that's set up and designed to produce change in their life back to the place that they don't want to go. The place that, man, you waited maybe a week to get into. And that's the crazy thing, isn't it? See, you know, we've been told our whole life about, you know, man, you can't live by your emotions and you can't live by your feelings. And, you know, I said that to my wife. My wife sometimes will get emotional and I say, hey, listen, those are your feelings and your feelings will lead you in the wrong direction. And I've told her those things and there's some truth to that. But see, there's a difference when, you know, our feelings and our thoughts and our emotions are all stem from a relationship with God. See, a lot of times we think that, man, I just need to follow all the rules. I need to cross my T's and dot my I's. I don't need to jaywalk. I don't need to lie, cheat, cuss, or steal. And by doing all those things, I'm obviously going to be a good person. Do you know that obeying all the rules doesn't make you a good person? Really what it does is it makes you in bondage to a set of rules. It makes you a slave to a set of principles that say this is the way we're supposed to live. And you know what that doesn't do? It never produces anything on the back end. Yeah, it can do some things to change the way you live right then and there. But man, where are the feelings and where are the emotions that God gave us, and how are they tied to a set of rules and regulations? See, I challenge you to think about this from a different perspective. And so for me, man, I used to spend all of my days trying to not lie, not cheat, not cuss, not steal, not do anything I wasn't supposed to do. And all the time, you know what I'm thinking about is all the things I can't do. And if I do these things, what's going to be the outcome of my life? Man, am I going to get punished? Am I going to, have something bad happen to me? But see, when I began to look at it from a different perspective, and I realized that, man, see, I wasn't brought into this world by God or by my family to obey a bunch of rules and regulations, but I was brought into this world to have relationships. Man, and where do those relationships start? Man, they start at our home with our mom and our dad and our family. Granted, we all haven't had the best upbringing, so those might not be the healthiest of relationships, but there's a relationship that supersedes all that, man, if you believe in God. Man, in that relationship, when you have the right perspective, man, all those feelings and thoughts and emotions that have the ability to come with that, man, they produce something. Man, that's that good vibe that I want to have. People say all the time, dude, man, you're always smiling. Man, I want what you got. Well, I'm going to tell you this. I want you to have what I got. And you can have what I got because I don't have the patent on it. See, because I know who I am. Man, and I know that, man, my life is not going to be dictated by all the things I have to do or not do. Those are important, man. Following the rules. You got to follow the rules. But that's not the priority. The priority is for me to know that, man, God loves me so much that when I was as messed up as I could be, when I was as far in left field, as out of my box I could possibly imagine, that there was still somebody who cared for me, who loved me, who valued me, who saw me, man, just as if I never did any of those things that I just described. And man, see, we don't often think about that. We try to categorize God in these different stereotypes that we've heard, and some of the things we've heard, people preach and people teach. God's going to punish you if you don't live the right way. See, no, God doesn't punish us when we don't live the right way. There's a result, a consequence of the actions that we decide to follow, whether you believe in God or not. Man, if you don't follow the rules, eventually you're going to get in trouble and go to prison, just like I did. But when you challenge yourself to look at that from a different perspective, see, it's not about following all the rules. It's not about not getting high.